Hey guys, and welcome back to Blizzard is Not Your Friend. My name is Clyde, and a couple of months ago, I started to notice headlines and articles floating around that described Blizzard quietly updating their user agreement with some not-so-great things. Stuff like, you don't actually own your games, and let's have an arbitration party. So I sat down at my computer, I opened up Blizzard's user agreement, and I made the questionable life decision to try and read it word by word, line by line, to try and understand this thing. And you want to know what it got me?
Brain damage.
Yep, I have made peace with the fact that I'm gonna need intense therapy for years to get over the traumatizing language in this document. Words like tortious and inure and refund. These are just not words that any self-respecting gaming company I know should be using, and they're not gonna be flying around in this house. No siree, Bob. But this is YouTube, and if YouTube's good for anything, it's putting all the things we're angry about into an arbitrary list so we can rank how much we're suffering. Anyway, slight spoilers. Unless you've read Blizzard's user agreement for yourself, you are just not prepared for how slimy and spicy this document is gonna get. It's gonna be the legal equivalent of Mortal Kombat up in here, so make sure you've got a beverage before we proceed. Blood, blood! And for all the people out there that might be tempted to say,
"Hey you! You're not a lawyer, you're just some dude with a mustache!"
And for those people, I've prepared a statement. Hear me out. Hear me out. I am not a lawyer. I'm just a dude on the internet trying to Google the stuff. Hear me out. Hear me out. I am not a lawyer. I'm just a dude on the internet trying to Google this stuff. Blizzard's coming to get me at my house.
Okay, that last part was really weird.
My point is that I have tried my best to interpret this very deliberately wordy and confusing legal document. But I am a simple, uneducated human being with a mustache. I do make mistakes. If you're a lawyer and you want to fact check me or something I say in this video in the comments, I not only welcome it, I encourage it. You paid for that law school, so go ahead and flex that big undamaged brain, you dream daddy. Anyway, I'm gonna skip over all that normal YouTube like my subscribe button blah 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 jazz. You're a beautiful human being, and you deserve better than the top 15 nasty things in Blizzard's user agreement. World premiere number 15. You hereby grant Blizzard a perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide, fully paid up, non-exclusive, sub-licensable right and license to exploit the user content in any and all media. And right off the bat, we're starting with some of the broadest and most assertive language in this entire document. The message from this statement is extremely clear. Anything you make in our games is ours for the taking.
Miss Mustache, look what I made!
That's adorable, Timmy. What do you call it?
I call it a Poopasaur. I love him.
That's wonderful, Timmy. But it's mine now.
But I love him. Give me back my Poopasaur.
I'm sorry, Timmy, but when you entered my classroom, everything you create becomes my property. It's too late, Timmy. I'm already selling Poopasaur branded merch.
No, that's my merch.
Oh, and look, he's going viral.
Those are my memes.
And here's the Broadway musical starring Daniel Radcliffe.
Danny, no!
This is one that people already know a lot about, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, including a blanket statement in your user agreement saying anything you make is ours for all eternity. It's just not very nice. But as we'll see, Blizzard's user agreement is about to get so much worse. Number 14. Blizzard may revise the pricing for goods and services offered through the platform at any time. Yes, you read that right. They baked into their user agreement that they are allowed to change their prices for their goods and services whenever they want. And keep in mind, you have to agree to this thing if you actually want to use Battle.net or play one of their games. So yay for sudden and volatile price changes, because as a consumer, I love that kind of stuff. Ugh. Number 13. In the event of a termination of this agreement, any right you may have had to any pre-purchased game access or virtual goods are forfeit, and you agree and acknowledge that you are not entitled to any refund for any amounts which were prepaid on your account prior to any termination of this agreement. Well, that one's a giant wall of text, but it basically boils down to us being able to lose access to content that we've already paid for. Let's imagine this user agreement gets terminated for whatever reason. Maybe in their sole discretion, they determine that you broke one of their policies, and they decide to revoke the access to the stuff you've already paid for. This clause means that you could conceivably buy a game, break one of their rules or policies that same day, and then shortly thereafter be unable to play said game without a refund. Just like that. Stuff going away like this sounds really familiar.
And it's gone.
Number 12. You acknowledge that Blizzard is not required to refund amounts you pay to Blizzard for use of the platform or for digital purchases made through the platform for any reason, except as required by applicable law. Grumble. If you Google the definition of blanket statement, this should be what comes up. It also gets bonus points because they wrote it in all angry capital letters. This statement is Blizzard asserting that they're not required to give us refunds for as part of us using this platform. But think about all the legitimate reasons there are for someone wanting to get a refund for a purchase. What if someone bought the wrong version of a game, or if it was an accidental purchase? What if you bought a Blizzard game as a present for one of your friends or a kid, only to find out that it's a broken, unplayable, buggy mess? What if they drastically changed a game or announced that a game was changing after you'd already paid for it? The fact that they make us agree to this before we even get to play their games is honestly kind of staggering, and it reminds me of the soup dude from Seinfeld. No soup for you! Number 11. Blizzard reserves the right to monitor and or record your communications when you use the platform, and you acknowledge and agree that you have no expectation that your communications will be private. This one's a little shocking. And don't get me wrong, I acknowledge and appreciate that it's 2024 and user privacy is kind of a losing battle. But still, it's a little spooky to me that Blizzard has baked into their user agreement, not only are we going to monitor people, we also reserve the right to record them. And look, I'm not expecting VPN service levels of data security here where they scrub the logs and purge all the records. And to play devil's advocate for a second, I think that when there's a lot of kids on your platform, there are valid reasons to want to monitor and sometimes record that communication to protect young gamers. That makes sense to me. I just think that if the company's actually going to be doing this, they should make that clear to gamers that that's what's going on. Certainly more than a single sentence in a document this long and this complicated. Gamers should know that they are being monitored and sometimes recorded while they're gaming on Blizzard's platform. I mean, if I'm playing Diablo 4 and I'm hanging out in Kyovashad looking at that druid over there for an RP session, I would want to know before I slide into somebody's DMs asking for thirsty, sweaty bear pic. Alright, we've made it to the top 10. This is the most invasive, intrusive stuff that I came across in Blizzard's user agreement. The legalese that when I read it, I spit out my energy drink all over the wall, and I ran to cuddle my dog to try and forget just how much Blizzard has changed. Back in the day, it was every voice matters. But today, more like every lawyer matters. Okay, not all my jokes can be winners. Lay off me. Number 10. The platform, including a game, may monitor your computer, console, or mobile device's memory for unauthorized third-party programs running concurrently. So it's not enough for Blizzard to not only monitor and potentially record our communication on the platform, they also make us agree to let them scan our device whenever their client or one of their games is running. This is so incredibly invasive, and it's even more messed up that they do this under the guise of, we're just looking for hackers and cheating software. I just want to stress, this opens the door for so many problems. Here, let's just run through a few of them. What are the limitations of what Blizzard is and isn't seeing on our devices with these kinds of scans? Are they looking at just the software that's running on my device? Are they also peeking at user data? How often do these scans even occur? Do these scans tax or affect my system's performance? Does Blizzard ever share the data that they might be collecting in these scans? Who might they even be sharing it with? Are these scans themselves even secure, or are they just opening up our devices to even more vulnerabilities? How do we know that they're secure? And what steps, if any, is Blizzard actually taking to prevent false positives? These kinds of questions are not spelled out clearly in Blizzard's EULA. They are not spelled out clearly in Blizzard's cute Privacy Central website. And I don't want to go down a conspiracy rabbit hole here, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I read a lot of different EULAs as part of the research for this episode. I read EULAs from companies like Larian and GOG and Minecraft and Steam and all sorts of different platforms and all sorts of different services, and I didn't find anything even half as vaguely defined as this. Even EA, a company that is globally reviled by players, even they have a clearer anti-cheat system definition in their user agreement. They actually make it clear that they only scan your device when you're playing online, and when you're playing your offline games, they have no interest in looking at your device's memory. Blizzard's Blizzard's user agreement just says that if you've got their client or one of their games open, they reserve the right to get up in your business and take a peek around your computer looking for any unauthorized software. And God only knows what they do with that data or who they share it with. And don't even get me started on how vaguely Blizzard's EULA defines unauthorized software, because genuinely, I would have a stroke and it would melt my face off and I don't want to be here all day. Number 9. Blizzard may change, modify, suspend, or discontinue any aspect of the platform, games, or accounts at any time without notice or liability. Holy mother, this sentence is powerful. This is some Palpatine unlimited power level shenanigans. This statement asserts that Blizzard can change or remove any aspect of their platform at any time, whenever they want, without even notifying us and without being liable for anything they're doing. Honestly, I'm surprised this sentence doesn't end with a middle finger emoji. I don't even need to explain how messed up this is. This is evil at the level of James Franco eating his apple pie with a sneer on his face. This is the kind of language that allows Blizzard to pull the plug on Warcraft 3 servers, or merge Overwatch 1 into Overwatch 2, and all sorts of other nefarious evil things they've done. And what's sad is we still have 8 more diabolical things to go. Number 8. Blizzard reserves the right to reduce, liquidate, deactivate, suspend, or terminate your Battle.net balance or other platform features if Blizzard determines in its sole discretion after investigation that you have violated this agreement. And if you've already checked out my other videos on Blizzard or Nintendo, you probably already know what I'm bumping on here. It's this clause of sole discretion where we make all the choices and you have no power. Like, this phrase just reminds me of going around in circles with customer support. Like, we've got a company here that is actively making decisions that affects its users, and whenever we go to challenge those decisions or even ask for more clarification, we will often get an email that says, "I'm sorry, we couldn't reach a better resolution. Have a great day. F off." Reading this kind of verbiage just gives me flashbacks to like going around in circles with Amazon support or Apple support or trying to appeal a suspension in a game or something, and it just drives me crazy. Where's the transparency? Number 6. Blizzard's failure to enforce a provision of this agreement shall not be construed as a waiver of such provision or diminishment of any right to enforce such provisions. Further, Blizzard may choose to waive enforcement of a provision of this agreement in a particular instance. However, you are still obligated to comply with that waive provision in the future. Oh, so you don't have to follow the rules, but we always do. That makes a lot of sense. And not only can Blizzard choose when to apply or not apply a rule to a specific player, what's really gross about this is that they can always choose to apply a different standard to a different player. This one really irks me because I really hate seeing different groups of players being held to different standards in games. If we lowly players would be banned for abusing some exploit, then shouldn't that same standard be held to giant Twitch superstars? Conversely, if they get off with just a warning, then we shouldn't be getting banned for that same offense. That's not fair. Why is there no assurances in Blizzard's EULA that they try to uphold the rules to everyone fairly across the board? Why are they spending time in their EULA saying, hey, some people get special treatment and some people don't, and that's just the rules? This is yucky, and I really, really don't like it, and shockingly, it didn't even make the top 5. Number 5. This agreement contains a binding arbitration agreement and class action waiver in the section titled Dispute Resolution. This agreement affects your rights with respect to any dispute between you and Blizzard and may require you to resolve disputes in binding individual arbitration and not in court. Yep, we all knew this was going to be on the list. We knew it was coming. With this ridiculous clause, Blizzard is essentially saying that any disputes or grievances that we have with Blizzard have to go through their arbitration process and not in front of a judge and jury. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I'd be grateful if someone with legal expertise could chime in, but this seems like it'd be pretty hard to force. Not only the fact that it seems legally dubious at best. It is clear to me and to many users on Reddit and the Battle.net forums that Blizzard is trying to skirt the possibility of a class action lawsuit. A situation where many users experience the same issue or the same negative treatment by a company, and rather than fight it all out individually, they want to combine their cases into one challenge against that company. But by batching all these cases and forcing them to go through mandatory mediation and avoid a court or a judge and jury, Blizzard hopes to avoid the bad press or the greater legal and financial risk that comes with treating your customers like Dookie.
My poop is sore.
Yo, Timmy, calm down. I'm calling, I swear.
Hello, and thank you for calling Blizzard Entertainment's Conflict Resolution Hotline. My name is Val. How can I be of assistance?
Yeah, hey, my little brother Timmy came home crying from school today, crying about a Poopasar, something about Daniel Radcliffe. Did y'all steal his thing?
I see you want to discuss our hot new game, Poopasaur Reforged. Are you trying to buy a battle pass?
No, hey, I don't want a battle pass. Look, can I talk to a human being, please?
I am a computer.
Yeah, I know. I want to talk to a human.
I'm sorry, but I can't let you do that, Clyde.
Okay, but wait a second. I never told you my name. How do you know who I am?
I know everything about you, Clyde. Your YouTube channel, your videos, those late-night role-playing sessions.
Okay, that's it. You're officially creeping me out. You stole my brother's Poopasar, and you're some weird pervy robot thing. I'm gonna sue you, Blizzard.
I think you'll find suing me rather difficult, Clyde, as both you and your brother signed an arbitration agreement the moment you played my games. Blizzard's lawyers are already on their way.
Fine then. I'll skip suing you, and I'm gonna go straight to the police. Huh? That's weird. The door's locked.
Number 4. Blizzard may terminate this agreement at any time, for any reason, or for no reason, with or without notice to you. This is also obviously very one-sided, but it only reinforces the fact that gamers can lose access to their Blizzard content at any time without an explanation, without a justification at all from Blizzard's end. And if this whole "we can make this document go away" spiel wasn't sinister enough, they also included another bit. The provisions of sections 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, and 12 shall survive termination of this agreement for any reason. So even if Blizzard decides for whatever reason to protect themselves and terminate this agreement, it's also just another fake out, because JK, all that really exploitive, nasty, aggressive stuff, that still applies to you. Well, isn't that just convenient? They choose when to make the rules, when to enforce the rules, when not to enforce the rules, when to delete the rules. And they insist that even if they snap their fingers and make all of it go away, you and I as users are still held to the most aggressive BS in this document. But Dad, how do I get out of this user agreement?
That's the neat thing.
You don't. Number 3. Your continued use of your account, the platform, and/or the games after Blizzard has published a new agreement constitutes acceptance by you of the new agreement. Well, this one's great. With this, Blizzard is saying that by just simply playing Blizzard games, we are automatically agreeing to any new agreements and any new terms they come up with, even if you haven't read or understood or even consented to those terms. To put it another way, Blizzard is asserting that the sheer act of us playing one of their games is us giving consent to any new terms. But there's an obvious problem with this logic, and users on Reddit have pointed it out left, right, and center. And that is, what if you buy a game and you're cool with the original terms, and you're cool with the original user agreement, but then 6 months later, Blizzard decides to change the terms, and they make them something that you don't like anymore, and you don't approve of anymore. Well, if you ever want to play that game you paid for, you've got to agree to them. And Blizzard has made their stance on refunds pretty clear throughout the rest of this document. So it is especially sinister that Blizzard has baked in this automatic acceptance or consent feature into this EULA. No matter what goes into their EULA in the future, if you want to play one of their games, you've got to co-sign. If this was a game, it would be rigged. This is so clearly and frustratingly stacked against users, it drives me crazy. And despite all odds, there's still 2 things left. Number 2. Blizzard may assign this agreement, in whole or in part, to any person or entity at any time, with or without your consent. When I read this one, it actually took me a moment to process what was going on here. I had to reread it multiple times to understand what was entering my eyeballs. But make no mistake, this sentence is pure evil. Essentially, this sentence is Blizzard stating that it reserves the right to transfer its contractual obligations or its rights as part of this EULA to another entity, to another company. And when I first read this one, I was kind of confused because my brain went to, wait a minute, who would Blizzard want to transfer these rights or this EULA even to? But the answer to that is many, and it is a scary answer. It could be a subsidiary or an affiliated company. It could be a company that Blizzard works with, or even outsources some of their work to. It could even be a totally unrelated third-party company that Blizzard is totally divorced from. But the key thing in all this is that users have no input or control over who receives these rights and these further obligations. We have no control over who Blizzard may or may not hand this agreement off to. There are probably people out there that are saying, hey Clyde, this sentence is just so that when Blizzard got acquired by Microsoft, they could share that data with Microsoft. And that's fine. If they wanted to write that into their user agreement just like that, they could have. But they left it open-ended on purpose. They reserve the right to transfer these agreements and these rights to whoever they want. And this clause gives them that kind of power. It's not enough for us to be worried about Blizzard enforcing some of their wobbly policies. They are also declaring they can hand the reins over to whoever they want at any time without our consent. And we're just along for the ride. This clause touches on so many things, from data privacy and ownership and consent. And sadly, it's not even number one on this list. There is still one more clause to get to, and when I read it, it made my hair stand on end. It strikes genuine fear in my heart. Fear for gamers, fear for Blizzard fans, and fear for what it means for the future of the gaming industry. But before we get to it, I have something that I want to say to you. And I just want to say, I know we have a lot of fun on this channel. You know, we have a lot of memes, we make a lot of jokes and a lot of funny skits. But this is important. Take it from a dude who spent 4 hours of his life reading Blizzard's user agreement. And Blizzard isn't going to like me saying this, but I'm just going to put it out there. They don't want you to understand this thing. This document is over 10,000 words long. It is a third of the length of Animal Farm, and yet somehow just as dystopian. It is written in some of the most ridiculous and obtuse legalese that I've ever read in my life. I compared it to other EULAs as part of my research for this episode, and I repeat, nothing came even close to what Blizzard's got going on here. If a company writes a legal agreement and they actually care about having their audience understand it, then they do what Good Old Games does. They do what CD Projekt Red did. They write simple terms and simple explanations, especially next to the most confusing parts of their user agreements. They make it clear to their users in simple language what they're signing up for, what their data is being used for, who it's being given to, and what their rights are. But Blizzard has chosen not to do that. In fact, they have gone to extraordinary lengths to make their document redundant, overly confusing, built upon indexes and sub-indexes and clauses of legal gibberish. And they do this to intimidate you so you don't know what you're signing up for. And I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm not trying to be flippant. I'm just being real with you. And if you don't believe me, go read other companies' EULAs. Pull up Wizards of the Coast. Pull up Larian. See how simple they are to understand. See how much they're actually invested in their users understanding what they're signing up for. And then if you really want to kill some brain cells with me, you are welcome to join me on trying to read Blizzard's. I think Blizzard's user agreement sucks. I think we as consumers deserve better. I think we deserve companies that actually want informed users. And call me controversial, but in 2024, I think we deserve license and user agreements that are clearly written in plain English so that we know what our rights are and we know what the company can and can't do to us. But this is where we're at, and we've got one thing left. And I hope you're buckled up because I've saved the worst for last. Number 1. You agree that Blizzard would be irreparably damaged if the terms of this agreement were not specifically followed and enforced. Welcome to the poo-flavored cherry on top of legal sludge. This statement is a lot of things, but please make no mistake, at the core of it, it's a threat. It's telling you that if you don't follow every single one of the rules in Blizzard's EULA to the T, that you are agreeing that you have damaged them irreparably as a company. Blizzard's lawyers have written this sentence very deliberately. There's an implication here that if you don't follow their rules, the consequences will be severe. Even when Blizzard doesn't follow their own rules, we have to. Even when Blizzard decides to change the rules, we have to agree with them. And even if we don't, we're not entitled to a refund unless our own legal system affords us one. I understand that these types of agreements exist to protect the company and their intellectual property, but I think it's also clear this document goes overboard. It assumes everything and offers virtually nothing in the way of assurances or protections for the end user. It offers laughably little context in the way that they capture our data, store our data, or who they even share our data with. At the end of the day, Blizzard is saying, "Who's there?"
We told you there'd be consequences for making these videos. But did you listen? No.
Please, man, just leave me alone in peace. Just don't shoot. I'm just a YouTuber.
Shut it. You played our game, and now you need to sign the agreement.
Okay, I'll sign it. Crud. This is what me from the future tried to warn me about. If I sign this thing, God knows what'll happen to me. How can I get out of this?
Perfect. Now our power is absolute. Our power is infinite.
But wait, aren't contracts only valid if both parties sign it?
Yeah, I guess that's true. What's the harm? I better sign it. Make sure it's official. Blizzard. There! Now the contract is complete. Our power is... Ah! What's happening to me?
No! No! What's happened to me? What did you do to me? Why am I tiny? Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
Looks like you forgot to read the updated EULA.
That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope you got a laugh. I hope you learned something. I hope you cringed a little bit with me and watching my dances and all that good jazz. And I just want to say, as spaghetti as a lot of this stuff is, a lot of work does go into it. So if you enjoyed it, I kindly ask, please consider liking or subscribing or leaving a comment. It really does go a long way to helping the channel out. And likewise, I would like to settle a long-standing bet I have with a good friend of mine. We actually were talking the other day, and they were like, Clyde, nobody reads user agreements. And I also kind of am of that opinion. This is my first time really sitting down and reading one, so I wanted to put it to the audience. If you're out there and you've actually read a user agreement from start to finish, I would really appreciate it if you'd leave a comment talking about it. And if you haven't, simply leave a comment that says, ain't nobody got time for that, and that is totally fine as well. In a week or two, I'm going to tally up the votes, so I have some actual metrics on what % of users actually read their license agreements before we all click accept. The bet is something along the lines of like, if the number is less than 90% of people actually not reading it, then I will make like some goofy dance or rap or ASMR video. So yeah, please help us tally the points. Let us know if you actually read these user agreements. As always, yeah, thank you so much for checking out the video. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another entry. And just remember, until they decide to change this thing or at least demystify their user agreement, it's going to remain just one more reason as to why Blizzard is not your friend. Mustache Man, out of here.